Patreon saw it first. Check me out, A Bucket of Jake on Patreon for access to the Discord, early looks at videos, bonus content, your name at the end of the video, and bonus episodes of the Big Fish podcast. Supporting me on Patreon helps me make the content that you are watching right now, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Alright, enough of me talking. Let's get back to me talking. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to I'm your host, Peter. Whoa. Malibu Ken. Jake, did you really just count that as an intro? You bet your sweet bippy I did. So you probably have a few questions, like what is this, what are you doing, and what are your life choices? But, I'm still trying to work on the last one, but I can name the first two. I'm betting you've seen this album cover somewhere before on 2019 year-end lists, but you never really knew who it was or what it was. It's a mystery to you. Good thing for you, I'm a one-man mystery machine. But the mystery goes further than the music. This album retells the story of one of the probably most twisted and demented stories of true crime that I've ever heard. This is the story of the true Acid King, Malibu Ken. So before we get too deep and scary on you, let's look back at where all good stories begin, the beginning. So recently I've been listening to more electronic type music since I went through new releases around the corner and I saw an album cover that absolutely fucking slapped. This album popped up and I was like, oh hell yeah, let's listen to this shit. And it did indeed turn out I really liked it. But what did I end up liking, you might be asking? Well, needy fuck, it's an album by the name of Hot, Wet, and Sassy by an electronic producer that goes by the name Tobacco. I've heard the name Tobacco, but I didn't think much of it. It was just like, damn, these tracks are pretty fucking cool. But this video isn't about Hot, Wet, and Sassy. It's about the album I saw when looking into Tobacco's other releases, and to a greater extreme, not entirely about the album at all, but its source material. A fantastic record, the origin of this cryptic thumbnail, this beautiful monstrosity. Malibu Ken is the collective musical venture by professional rap man Aesop Rock, not A$AP Rocky, Aesop Rock. He's much more lyrically talented and much more white, and the electronic producer Tobacco. This album is a melting pot of genres. Aesop Rock brings lyrical rap and classic hip-hop sounds, while Tobacco, an electronic producer, is making hip-hop music, which is one of my favorite types of music in the entire world. Top, nothing can beat it. It's 10 tracks of this glitch electronic hip-hop story-driven bangers, boy howdy. These two were such an unlikely odd couple, but they make the cutest goddamn couple I've ever seen. The seeds of this album that we got here were actually sowed in the distant past, many moons ago, in the apocalyptic age of 2007, where Tobacco and his band Black Moth Super Rainbow, whose music fucks pretty good, I highly recommend, opened for Aesop Rock on his US tour. Upon meeting, talks of a collaboration started quite early, and they would collaborate on Tobacco's debut solo album, Fucked Up Friends, where Aesop Rock would feature on the track Dirt. Things would go radio silent for about a decade, and then all of a sudden these two men pooped this thing into existence. Malibu Ken was released on January 18th, 2019, under Rhymesayers Records. This was released to a pretty decent critical acclaim, getting a 7.7 on Pitchfork, a 76 on Metacritic, and a godly light to decent 8. Not too bad for these two indie darlings. Not only do critics really enjoy this record, but fans have such an underground buzz surrounding it. I put a poll on my Instagram, shout out to my Instagram, if I should make a video on this topic, but not only was it a massive yes, but I had people DMing me saying, please make this into a video, they are so underrated. So, like the genie from Aladdin, your wish is my command. Shia Kazing. Now, one of my favorite factors of this thing is the art associated with it. Now, one of the things that brought me into this album originally was the artwork surrounding it, which in a later vinyl update I'll go into more detail, but the art around this and the artists are fucking fantastic. They're really cool. I will go more deeply into it, but for now I have another topic I need to get off my chest. Now, this video about music is not going to focus on the music that much because the real life events behind the fiction are way more alluring, but I'll elaborate on that later. I do want to talk about some of my favorite tracks off the record just so I can convince you why this is a modern masterpiece. The project opens with probably one of my favorite songs on the record, Corn Maze. This track is a banger off the start, with Tobacco presenting one of my favorite instrumentals he's ever done, hands down. The bit crush drums and the electronic bass put me in this mindset of, oh, this is something you don't get every day. Now, the instrumentals of this album are the easy part. they are far easier to explain than the actual spiritual lyrical miracle individual that Aesop Rock is throughout this entire record. Corn Maze is essentially a little novel about how Aesop Rock is a bit of a recluse shy boy. In the first verse, he's pretty much just describing his house and what he's watching on TV. Like, I know the way I'm describing it sounds boring as fuck, but I'm gonna be real, Aesop Rock can legit rap about anything, like the weirdest shit, and I'm compelled. Like I said, Aesop wrote legit novels in his lyrics, so I'm not gonna be able to dissect every single word, or I'll be here for way too fucking long. So I'll give you a broad idea of each track. But side note, I have been saying I don't have a horse in your war games for the past about a week and a half. For this record, I can unironically say this man is spitting straight bars. The following track, Tuesday, has a very good pulsing arpeggiated instrumental with these extremely hip-hop feeling drums, but still getting a little bit of bit crush in there. This track on the album is pretty much describing how gross Aesop Rock is. Straight stinky, man. This song has the legendary lyric, "My neighbor found a mushroom growing inside my car." Stinky. I believe this is a natural progression of storytelling from the first track to the other, where the first song was about him being a recluse, and this track is what comes of him being a recluse. Pretty much just being gross and killing succulents. And to most, this would be a disturbing amount of filth, but for Aesop Rock, it's just another Tuesday. Next, we get Save Our Ship, all certified bangers. The instrumental is one of the most disorienting on the record, and one of my favorite beats on the project. Just for the opening line alone, just gets you in the mood of, fuck, this is sick. But this track deals with a much more serious topic than Aesop Rock just being stinky. I believe this track is detailing how the oversaturation of news, and to the extent fake news, muffles important stories and events because the constant word vomit gets lost in the shuffle. Save Our Ship is a really underrated song. Speaking of slept on tracks, we come to another one of my favorites off the fucking record, Dog Years. The instrumental is fantastic, and this is probably my favorite tobacco beat ever. Like, personal discography, Malibu Ken, Black Moss Super Rainbow, it's probably my favorite. The minimalism and the way the synths are woven in with the minimalism to just create this one cohesive being, just, oh god, fucking, blah. It also has some of my favorite wordplay from Aesop Rock, and his flows and cadence just ooze swagger. God damn, Dog Years is so fucking fire. I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed. And the last track I want to shout out in this section is the story-driven record, Churro. The story goes, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Wildlife Game Commission thought it'd be a cute thing to put a hunting cam in a bald eagle's nest to see the birds chilling and shit, just a 24-hour live stream type thing. However, the issue arises when patrons tune into the live stream only to see the two bald eagles eating a cat like it's a fucking churro. A lot of people were pissed and probably traumatized while Aesop Rock made a rap about it. It's a really good storytelling track for sure. Malibu Ken has been spitting straight fire so far, and these are some of my favorite tracks. Ah yes, only 7 minutes and 50 seconds into the video, and I finally get to my point. Classic Bucket of Jake fashion. Again, it's called Building Suspense. If you don't like it, I'm sure you'll enjoy a Tommy In It or a Blues Clues much more than this. Don't be a dick, Jake. But anyway, I neglected to talk about my favorite song on the record. Everything from the incredible instrumental, this tension-building electronic bass piece that explodes perfectly with distorted trumpets and a wall of synth, and Aesop Rock's flow is like butter, it's so smooth. And the lyrics, holy shit, the lyrics. Boys and girls, welcome to my favorite hip-hop story I have ever heard. Let me introduce you to the Acid King. Now, I particularly love this song so much, not just because of the beat, but the beat's fantastic, boy, let me tell you, but because of the story that's being told. My man Aesop Rock legit raps a true crime thriller story from start to finish, and holy shit, it's so fucking good. The lyrics for the song are so diverse, detailed, and explanative that the story he presented is so clear. I barely even needed to Google anything about it, but for sake of professionalism, I did. But I've kept you edging. I can finally tell you about my favorite song on the record, Acid King. So get comfy. I suggest getting some popcorn because I'm a true crime YouTube channel now, baby. Acid King is a song about a satanic killer that goes by the name of Ricky Kasso. The story goes, in Newport, New York, Ricky, a troubled 17-year-old boy, would spend the day being kicked out of the house, drifting on people's couches and park benches, and consuming copious amounts of narcotics. Kasso was known to dabble in the occult and Satanism and had a friend group who sold weed calling themselves Knights of the Black Circle. People later claimed that this was a devil-worshipping group. Take note, his parents did try to intervene, putting him in Amityville Asylum. Ricky's first encounter with the law that would give him his satanic name tag would be when he got arrested for grave robbing, and after being arrested, he would become ill with pneumonia and was treated at a local hospital. And while at the hospital, his parents pled to doctors to give Ricky a full mental evaluation, which he passed, and once recovered was released into the world. So fast forward to the meeting of the minds. Story's a bit blotchy at times, but I will do my best to weave a seamless tapestry here. At a party on June 19th, 1984, a fellow 17-year-old Gary Lauer would steal 10 bags of PCP from Ricky's jacket when he was passed out. Kasso would confront him after the incident, and Lauer would return 5 out of the 10 bags. And for those of you who aren't college graduates, that's half of the bags. And Lauer said he'd give Kasso $50 for the bags he already used. Sometime after this incident, Kasso would incite Lauer to get high and go into the woods with him and his 2 friends, 4 people in total. They would set up camp and get obliterated on LSD, taking about several hits each. They would chill and do campy shit as the night went on, but the vibe went sour when a scuffle ensued between Lauer and Kasso. Kasso would bite Lauer's face and stab him in the chest as one of his friends held him down, which later testimony would say is untrue. Kasso would stab Lauer 36 times and gouge out his eyes. And the calling card of this murder was as Kasso was doing it, he kept saying to Lauer, "Say you love Satan, say you love Satan." But Lauer only replied, "I love my mother." Kasso would deal the killing blow and leave him for dead in the woods, covering his body with leaves. After the initial incident, Kasso seemed almost proud of what he did, bragging to the people of the town about doing it, eventually coming to be called the Acid King, saying that Satan himself appeared in the form of a crow, approving the killing of Lauer. Kasso was so proud he would bring several people to the body to show them. After leaving him there to rot, Kasso and his friend Triano buried Lauer in a shallow grave. But a big ol' wrench got thrown in their plans when police got wind of the murder via an anonymous tip. And on July 4th, the police would find the rotting, mutilated body of Gary Lauer. Kasso and Triano would be arrested the next day, but Kasso had other plans in mind, committing suicide by hanging himself in his jail cell, leaving Triano to fend for himself in court. After testimony from the third assailant Quinos, they tried to arrest Triano for second-degree murder, but since everyone was completely fucked up, Quinon's testimony was labeled untrustworthy and the charges were dropped. Now after this inexplicably became a media phenomenon, and this became a media phenomenon back in the day because of the era that it happened. If this happened nowadays, we probably wouldn't bat an eye at the story, but the context of the story related back, as everything does, to music. The reason it was so big in the media was because they wanted to make an example out of Ricky Kasso, to push the agenda that rock and roll and metal was devil music. Ricky Kasso was a fan of Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and was photographed in his mugshot wearing an AC/DC shirt. The media was in the midst of this parental advisory movement where concerned parents would try to censor rock music so kids wouldn't listen to it. And if this topic intrigues you, Vox did a video, How Heavy Metal and Satan Gave Us This Sticker, a really interesting watch and a great way to put you in the mindset of what the nation was during this incident. The media blamed the music for the death of Gary Lauer, saying that Ricky joined a cult and worshipped Satan because Ozzy Osbourne told him to, blowing this incident up way larger than their little town could ever imagine. Which brings us to today. And why I'm talking about this, because Aesop Rock told the whole story in the song. The entire story. Aesop Rock leaves no stone unturned. Haha, I stole that joke. Aesop Rock lists every detail about this event, even the minuscule details nobody would give a shit about. He raps about Kasso's MO. He raps about the year the murders occurred, Kasso being kicked out of the house, his love of heavy metal, the grave robberies, the cops arresting him and putting him in Amityville Asylum, the party Kasso passed out at and was robbed at, Gary Lauer, Ricky getting 5 bags but still owing him 50, waiving the charges and going to get fucked up, the date of the murder, the way Kasso stabbed Lauer, Kasso forcing him to say you love Satan, the 32 stab wounds and gouged out eyes, Satan in the form of the crow telling him to kill, the suicide of Kasso hanging from the sheets after the 3rd day. Some say Kasso was part of a cult, but I'm sure there was more than we're told, more than adults in authority could readily decode, or maybe I'm wrong and he's finally home. This is hands down one of the most detailed, interesting, and crazy lyrical and audio experiences I've ever listened in rap music. This is why I love these dudes. This is why I love this record. So support these dudes. Both men just recently came out with albums. Like I said before, Tobacco just released Hot, Wet, and Sassy. Malibu Ken is the perfect record for people who want to step outside their comfort zone. And not just listen to some banging instrumentals, but listen to some crazy true stories. And don't just stay for the true crime. Stay for the interesting beats. Stay for the fantastic wordplay. And stay for this fantastic record. Fuck Ricky Kasso. Malibu Ken is the true Acid King. Ho ho boy, look at me go. Thank you for stopping by this video. I know it wasn't a depressing piece of experimental drone, but hey, I like diversifying. Finals are finally, pun there, are over, and I could finally make videos. So the last few weeks of 2020 are gonna be fucking popping, so get ready for a smorgasbord dumped in your lap. Now, this is the section of the video where I cite my sources, because I'm not a fucking asshole. I tell people where I got my information from. Shout out Wikipedia. I fucking love Wikipedia, dude. This is where I got a lot this is where I got a lot of information. Shout out to Vinyl Rewind, because he was the original one that introduced me to Malibu Ken when he did the vinyl review on his vinyl channel. And he kind of went over the story a little bit, but I wanted to go in a bit more detail. So shout out to Vinyl Rewind. He was on the podcast, actually. Check it out. Shout out to Ryker. He did a video called How Accurate is Aesop Rock's Acid King? And this was pretty much the kick in the ass that told me, like, yeah, no, he described this shit to a T. He unknowingly helped me make the layout that I want for this list and turn into the true crimes type thing that I wanted to. So shout out Ryker, sub to his channel. All their links are going to be down below, by the way. The various Acid King documentaries, I'd watch some footage and try to get an understanding and a feel for the era that was going on and the nature of everything going on, you know. And last but not least, shout out to Polyphonic. Not specifically about the Acid King or Malibu Ken in general. It was None Shall Pass, how Aesop Rock raps. And it's essentially going how Aesop Rock is a fucking lyrical, miracle, spiritual individual, and how he can say all these fucking words so goddamn fast. But yeah, so thank you to everyone I cited my sources from. I appreciate it, so you can't sue me if I don't do it. Shout out to the Patreon. I got some patrons, and I'm really fucking happy that I got patrons. If you want to check out my Patreon, links could be in the description. You can get access to the Discord. You can get early content. You can get little behind-the-scenes content. You can get bonus podcasts. You can get your name at the end of the credits, so check it out. It's really fucking cool. I highly recommend, but, you know, that's just me. That's just me. Shout out to the Ooze and Super Jail, my music. The Ooze is out now. It's been out for a little bit, and I'm quite happy about the reception it's beginning. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Super Jail is out March 6th. All the links will be in the description. There's going to be merch coming for Super Jail, being physicals and maybe even some wearable stuff. So keep an eye out for that. I'm really excited about it. I'll probably do a nice little tie-in video to talk about it and maybe do a giveaway. Who fucking knows? We will see. Shout out to the podcast, the Big Fish Podcast. The last guests I had on were Pillow Fort. They were two great people. They were just chilling, maxing, relaxing. A lot of jokes in that one. I love podcasts that are just a lot of jokes. And speaking of a lot of jokes, the next guests we have on are Luke On Demand, friend of the show, and new friend Jackson Burns. We had a fucking, oh dude, one of my favorite podcasts that it was just so fun. Just like shooting the shit with the boys. So they're really cool. I highly suggest it. Big Fish Podcast on every major platform, almost every Wednesday. I think it's been every Wednesday pretty recently, so good on me for keeping my shit together. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it a lot. Channel's been kind of blowing up recently, and I'm very fucking happy about it. I'm on Twitter now, so check out my Twitter. I just tweet stupid shit. But yeah, in conclusion, listen to Aesop Rock, listen to Malibu Ken, listen to Tobacco, support these dudes. They fucking bang in everything that they do. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it, and have a pleasant day.